Hello, it's Alistair here, and this is Accessible Photography. Welcome to Morag's art studio. Morag is a member of my photo club, and next door she's got her own little photo studio. And we've come along tonight to do some 1940s Art Noir black and white, and I'm going to use the Nikon Zfc, and I'm just going to shoot in colour just now, but it gives me the opportunity to do some editing in DxO Nik Collection and see if I can create some really nice looking 40s style images. If it doesn't really work very well for me in Nik Collection, I've also got obviously the FilmPack as well, and I can have any era I want just from a colour image. So that's what I'm going to do today. We've got some flash units set up and they've been testing them out just now. I'm going to go in and take some photographs. We're in the studio now and the guys are setting up the lights. Originally, the plan was to use a big round softbox, but that wasn't really doing the job. So they swapped it out and replaced it with two slim lighting units, which kept the light in a much narrower area. That ended up being slightly awkward because the models, us photographers, kept wandering out of the light. We even ended up putting keys on the floor to mark where everybody was supposed to stand. I was filming the day with the Pocket 3 and the Insta360 attached to the camera, but I made my first mistake almost immediately. I had forgotten to reset the exposure compensation on the Insta360. I dialed it right down a few weeks earlier while filming into sunset. There again. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Oh, stunning. I wish I'd seen them coming over. And of course, me being me, I never put it back. So it's not exactly 40s Art Noir, but it'll do me just now. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. Oh, that's really good. My second issue was not being able to see anything through the camera. I lost your arms there because I can't see them. I thought the idea of a model light was so we could see things. It was set to apply settings to live view, which is brilliant when you want to preview exactly how your image will look before taking the shot. It's not so brilliant in a dark studio when your exposure settings are designed around a flash firing. Okay, I've got a couple of images. I'm going to step right further back and then, there we go, it didn't work. The third problem, yes, I have a third problem, was even more embarrassing. I'd previously used this camera with auto ISO, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember how to switch it back. My ME CFS really doesn't help in those I need to fix this right now moments. The first few images fired away at ISO 16,000 before I eventually found the setting buried in the camera's menu. Now remember, I bought this camera when I was quite unwell and chose it specifically because I didn't want to be diving through menus all the time. For outdoor, landscape and street photography, I absolutely love the manual controls this camera offers. The final bit of problem solving was focus. I tried fixing both my position and the model's position so that the focus would remain perfect. Remember, I can't see him. Right, I think that's the best I'm going to get. Okay, I'll let you put lights back down. That's all right, eyes closed. Of course, people move, and that plan failed almost immediately. Then it struck me, why not simply increase the depth of field? So what I've done is I've increased the depth of field. Hopefully it'll be in focus. I'm going to take a picture. I dialed in a smaller aperture, eventually ending up around f11 or f16. You see, on old manual cameras, you'd often have a guide on the lens showing what would be in acceptable focus between two distances. Inside the Nikon Zfc's viewfinder, there's a simple guide that runs from a flower icon for close focus all the way to infinity. It doesn't give actual distances, but it gave me enough confidence that my subject would be acceptably sharp. And that's the key phrase here, acceptably sharp. He might not be tack sharp right on the eye, but viewed as a complete image, especially as a small print or on social media, or even on a computer screen, it looks perfectly fine. Because honestly, who other than photographers zoom right into the eye just to check focus? And then, right at the end, when I finally started getting the images I really wanted, I forgot to set up the Pocket 3 again. So all I have is some rather rough looking Insta360 footage that I've pushed to within an inch of its life trying to recover an underexposed recording. But despite all of that, I actually liked what I was getting. The images weren't exactly what we'd originally intended, but I think there's enough there to create something rather nice. So I've got a few photographs that I'm happy to work with despite all the trials and tribulations. And this is really just kind of proving a point here that you don't need to be an expert to get some good images. Okay, you might decide they're not good images. I think they are. And this proves a point. You don't need to be brilliant at what you do, but it does help to know your cameras. And I must admit, my brain at times just goes to toast when I'm under pressure, but I've really got to remember how to get some of those simple things fixed when I need them. But what I'm trying to say is, don't feel you have to be a pro and know everything to be able to get a good image. And hopefully I'll be able to show you exactly that. I'm not a pro. I wouldn't even say I'm a great photographer. Never have said that. But I do like taking pictures. And studio work isn't really my genre at all. I wasn't really too keen when the guys started doing a lot of studio stuff and lights and flash. So I'm a bit behind. I wasn't really catching up with them, wasn't keeping up with them. So now I do want to improve. I want to buy some more kit. In particular, a flash trigger that actually works their lights, because I'm having to borrow one every time because the triggers that I got don't work on their system. Anyway, by the by, that's rubbish. Let's have a look at this. So, here we are. These are the last few pictures that I took, and I've got one here. Remember I was saying about focus, doesn't really matter if it's 100% in focus or not. But this one's not bad. If I zoom in on that, it's slightly out there. It's not 100% great, but you know what? It looks absolutely fine. So this one here, maybe a little bit too much space at the top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two photographs and do them slightly differently. So this one here, what I'm going to do is get a couple of spots here. So one, kind of 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks a bit silly, I know. I could have done these a bit better. So I'm just going to raise these up like this. And all I'm trying to do is bring some line out. I'm not sure if I can get these to be a different shape. Somebody tell me, that's probably it there. There you go. So what I want to do is take out the shadows and get that. Say, oh, that's way too far. Because it doesn't respond instantly. Sometimes you've got to wait for it to come back. So it's correct. See the correcting preview here. Sometimes you've got to wait. So is that too far? Maybe. Bring it back a fraction. I don't want it too bad. That looks okay. So I'm going to just hide that again. So I've got to close that. So I've got a nice one side there. What I could do is just bring up that a fraction. So I wonder if I can use a brush this time. Just to, what size is my brush going to be? Quite big. Let's just do a little bit here, there. And all I want to do is just maybe raise the highlights a bit. Take the exposure up an absolute fraction. There we go. So we've just got the cheekbone showing. Okay. That's okay. The eye possibly should have been just catching there. So what I could do is just a small one of those, just do this. And very, very carefully bring up the eye like that. Okay, so when the light isn't working the way you really want it, you can adjust it afterwards in post. Now I want to do a little bit of an adjustment on here. There, manual, original, 7x5. Just get a little bit of room there. Now, I'm not going to go for the rule of thirds and have his eye smack bang in the middle, because I think with portraiture, when it's close in like this, you don't want too much height above the person, is my view. So I'm just going to put the line through, say through the nose. The hand is in the third there. That's a third-ish. Do that. Now, I'm seeing the background here. They've got creases in the background, the sheet. We were looking to keep the background because it is an antique background, so it was really, really good. So I could increase the exposure on that to see what the background is like. Too much. But I don't like to see creases. I really don't. So I'm just going to go and take it right down. Okay. How about that? So that was using sort of AI selection for the background. I did a really good job of that. I was quite happy with it. I'm quite happy with the hat. Yeah, I like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this into Nik Collection. I'm going to send it into Silver Effects, and that's it. Watch it here. It's just, that's it going in, and it will tell me that it's gone through. It doesn't necessarily bring up Silver Effects there. It says it's coming in now. So here's Silver Effects in the background. This is quite normal. This is DxO basically telling you about things every other day. So you can change this from every day to once a week for updates only. I'll just put it to once a week just now. Close that. A new version of Nik Collection is available. I'm going to wait until I finish this. Now, here's my slider, in case you wondered why it was half and half. So that's what we've got. That's the basic that we've got there. What I want to do is go into branded, because you know me, I like my brands. So I'm going to go for Ilford Panef 50. It says FG40-24 there, but it's Ilford Panef 50. Let's actually want to change that, because the one I wanted is, let's go for Ilford HPS 800, and I'm going to make that quite strong, which is a bit interesting. I'm going to put apply, and then what happens when you apply, so it arrives here inside DxO Photo Lab, and I think I quite like that. I do. So anything else I want to do with it? Not just now, because we're just doing a little play. So then I'm going to export that, and I'm going to export it simply as a JPEG. Now, which JPEG do I want? Standard. I'm going to be sharing it with friends on social media, so I'll just put it to there. Export that, and away it goes into its own file, its own folder within the file system that I've got. I'm going to select another image now and bring it up in a slightly different way and see what we get with that. So if I go along here, I saw one light. Now this is what David calls, this is David by the way, this is what David calls the hero shot, and I'm not allowed to call it a hero shot because he invented the word apparently. That is a joke. But I'm going to go for 444 or this one. So it looks like a politician from the 60s, I would say here. I do like the detail on that. I really like what I'm seeing. That is nice. So what's happened with this is I brought this raw file in to DxO Photo Lab, but it's already got a preset on there that I've created myself, which gives it a nice crunch, and I really like that. But this time what I want to do is open it up in FilmPack, which I've actually got sitting down here somewhere. I've got FilmPack here. So being a little bit stupid here, I actually have FilmPack already built in. So in presets, If I go to presets, I was in general purpose presets. I actually have FilmPack Designer color here and black and white. So close that one, go into black and white. There's black and white films, time machine. So let's go into black and white films. Pushing out a little bit, not too keen on it. I'm going to go to black and white on its own. See what happens here with darkroom, delta. There's an old image there. In the background it's showing, which I don't want the background showing. Okay, how about this one, pure gold. So that looks quite nice in pure gold, and again I'm going to crop this. There's the crop tool there, put it manual, original, going to put it to 7:5. Bring that down to about there again, I think. I quite like the gold. I could have it in different colors, but I quite like that. And again, if I wanted to give it that sort of side-on light, I can do that by doing some changes. You might recognize this from Lightroom, a little slider. Let's see what that does. I don't want to take off too much light from his hand. I want to take the exposure down. Oh, that's a long way. Oh, actually I like that. I do like that. I'm going to take it quite far, and I'm going to bring the rest of the image back up. So let's close that just now. I am going to then bring up the general exposure. Because it's a bit low. How about that? There. And we'll go back to a little bit of a highlight here on the hand. That's not working. There we go. Bit on the hand, bit on the thumb. I quite like that. So let's just increase that just a fraction, and that gives a little bit of separation from the background and the foreground. Let's close that up. Oh, did that? There we go. I quite like that. It might be a bit distracting having that bright as well as the face. It depends on how you like things to be. Could also do with improving the face for sharpness. So I'm just going to bring that up here. It's not lighting it. I just want to sharpen that. So it's bringing up the light as well for some reason. And I've got two there. Correction preview still working. Okay. Just going to take the highlights down. Correction preview, have I taken it too far? Yeah, I took it too far. Get it back to there. Right. And I'm also noticing that I'm seeing a change in the background here, so I'm going to see if I can. Right, we've still got a correction preview coming in. So what I'm going to do is take the brush, just darken that. There we go. And I'm happy with that. It's a little bit, it's not too bad. It's probably a little bit burnt out in there still. Come on. Let's just take the highlights back down a fraction. That's it. and I'm going to export that. Again, at the lowest size possible, because I want to share that with my friends at the club. And I'm going to be sharing it here on YouTube. And there's no point in putting a very high or big size, high definition image onto YouTube, because it all gets compressed anyway. So it's actually sometimes better to put an already compressed image on, and then it doesn't compress it itself. Well, that's my theory. So that's us done. I've done 2 images, 2 slightly different ways. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to throw in a 3rd image at the end here. It'll be the first one, and that's what I did in Lightroom earlier today, just to play about with and see how it came out, as well as the one I did with Silver Effects and the next one with the FilmPack, and that'll be me. So thanks for watching, and remember, if you wish to be able to purchase DxO, you can get a 15% discount off with my code AP15, and just have a look at it here. Click on that. I've got a link below, should I say, click on that, put in the code for 15% off. But as I will always say, download a copy first for a trial for 1 month and see if you like it, because I do not wish to push you into buying anything until you've tried it out. But please return back to me to get your discount, and I hope it works out for you. See you in the next one. Here come the photographs.